So the purpose why I'm giving this talk is basically to give an insight into what all is happening in the research field in the advanced driver assistance systems, and if someone wants to research here or collaborate, so this is the basic crux of this talk. So let's start with this. So I'll have some these kind of animations, please excuse me. So the first thing is the basic agenda. So I'll start from basically the Indian road scenario that all of you must be aware of and have seen, but still let's see some edge cases over here. What are ADAS, that is Advanced Driver Assistance Systems? Then how can we prevent the vehicle to vehicle collision, and then how can we prevent the vehicle to pedestrian collision, and there are some other classes as well. So let's start with the talk, and the first thing, obviously the chaotic Indian road scenario. Okay, so this is a video and let's see what happens here. So this is our car and this is a dashboard camera, wheel witness camera. So you can see a bus and like people start running off. And this is a scenario where we can see what all clauses we have in our systems, like what all can we identify from there, like in the autonomous cars that are built by Tesla and all those companies have that, okay, we have to identify a car and we have to prevent a collision, but what all can we identify from this, a rickshaw? I don't even know the names. And let's move on to the last case. This is the most interesting one. So, a typical Indian scenario. So what are ADAS and why do we need them? Like, as all of you might be knowing that there are some autonomous cars that are present in the other countries like US and all those things, and they are like booming right now. But in India, there are a lot of research going on, but there is not a very concrete evidence that we can get autonomous cars yet in India. So we have some ADAS, that is Advanced Driver Assistance System. As the name suggests, it assists the driver in driving in these different conditions. And they are also divided into two parts. The first thing is the invasive technology and the second is the non-invasive technology. So what do we mean by invasive technology is basically we are mingling with the hardware of the car or any vehicle that we are talking about. But what non-invasive technology means is we are using other technologies to like get insights into our driving and help the driver. So these are some types of non-invasive ADAS that we would be talking about. So as on the left you can see that there is vehicle-to-vehicle collision and they are like preventing those at the intersection. So if a road is coming at perpendicular to another road, we cannot see a car coming from that road. So we cannot just employ a computer vision algorithm over there. We have to do some other stuff like, so I just got an idea from the guy who's sitting over here. So he said that we can use a sonar for this, but there are other methods as well. So there are networking methods which can use the current location of the car and predict the collisions. Then there are overtaking accidents that happen a lot in India. So almost 37% of the whole accidents occur due to overtaking. And then there are vehicle to pedestrian collisions. So the first part is basically predictive and the second is non-predictive. So non-predictive basically means that we are detecting a pedestrian and saying that okay, someone is standing or someone is walking by, that is a pedestrian, we do not have to hit that. Right, and the predictive thing is where that pedestrian is going. We have to calculate what is the trajectory of that pedestrian. And then there are some miscellaneous things like lane detection, and there are some cameras in the car which detects that if you are going sleepy, so it invokes you, okay, wake up, and if you are using Google Maps right now, so there is a feature if you are overspeeding, then it gives you alerts, you are overspeeding, please slow down, and that's irritating as well. So let's start with the project. So this was a project I did way back in 2017, and so what I was talking about earlier in the collision avoidance systems for the vehicle-to-vehicle collisions. So we can use a networking system in which here I use that. So let's start from the right. So I have a phone, a smartphone, which is uploading its coordinates to a cloud system, which is a real-time cloud system. And on the back end, I am computing that are the two cars going to collide. So you can use ML, you can use neural networks, and there are a lot of things otherwise. So you can just use a linear regression as well, but that won't be very accurate. And then I give the alert back to the phone on the right itself, and that gives an output. On the detection part, we can use just a Raspberry Pi, which is a very cheap microcomputer. It's a 2500 rupees microcomputer with a camera. which is also very cheap, 500 rupees. So we can like save lives in 3,000 rupees. So these are some initial technologies that were being used in 2017. So now this is a basic scenario of how we can like calculate if this car is coming from here and there, and these are the speeds and what are all the arbitrary patterns. So we can get that these are the things that we can prevent the collision from. Then there is vehicle overtaking collision system. So this is something like this. This first uses a camera to detect if a car is coming from the opposite lane, and then as you can see the red light turned on. That indicates that it networked that to the previous car that okay, a car is coming, please do not overtake right now. And then the main topic that is for this presentation is the vehicle to pedestrian collision avoidance system. So I'll be going a little more detail into this. So there are some openly available data sets that are present. First is the KITI data set, then there is a Caltech data set, and then there is an INRIA data set, among others. But there is like, I guess there is just one Indian data set that is native to the Indian roads, and there is another, I guess, like my team built one, but it is not open source as of yet. It had like 50,000 different frames, and it had tracking information as well as trajectory information. So I'll be letting you know if when it will be public if someone is interested. So we can use it data sets to do the first thing, that is detection. We already talked about that if a pedestrian is coming, we have to detect, okay, this is a pedestrian, we do not have to detect. Then the second thing over here is tracking. If the pedestrian is going from one point to the another point, we have to know that where he is going. This is also very basic because we cannot like compute what is happening there. So we can use number of frames, as you can see on the top right. So there are these number of frames. Those are the bounding boxes of the pedestrian, and that is the trajectory which is mapped through the tracking. Now trajectory prediction is a whole different thing, in which we like predict the whole trajectory of the pedestrian, like where he is going from and to, and will be going from it. So there are these non-deep learning methods, which are the linear filters, which use like y is equals to mx plus b on the pixel values of the pedestrians. So if a pedestrian is standing here and it is calculating like for 8 frames that where the pedestrian was going, it linearly filters that okay, this will be his future trajectory. Then there are Gaussian regression models. This use a Gaussian curve instead of a linear model. Then there is collision avoidance. It gets okay, these are some objects in the road, so it does not have to hit those objects, and it again does this filtering. Then there are social forces. So social forces is basically like there are 5 people that are walking on the road. So all the 5 trajectories are to be mapped to each other so that they are moving in a way that they do not hit each other and maintain some private space and all those things. But these are very hard to like maintain because these are handcrafted features. We do not have any data inference from them. So we move on to some deep learning methods. So the first one is obviously LSTM. You all might have heard about that. These are the long short-term memory cells, which are basically like recurrent neural networks, which gets information from the past and it can detect the output for the future if we get an auto-input input. So the first step is LSTM. It also does the same thing as we did in the linear model, but it has the pixel values, and the LSTM predicts the values based on learning, and it says that okay, this person and these persons are going to be over here in the park in the next few frames. But then revolution came social LSTM. Social LSTM came out in around 2000s, and it said that all the trajectories, as we saw in the social forces, are influenced by other people's trajectories as well. So this was the social LSTM approach, which I'll be detailing a bit. And then let's go to the 5th point here, because we have a little less time, that is SSLSTM, which was a step further to the social LSTM. This is the current state of the art in this technology. So what is social LSTM? It assigns a LSTM to each person individually. So you can see that these are some pedestrians that are going in front of me. So it assigns each LSTM to a person. Then the hidden state of the LSTM, which calculates that okay, this is the learning, and what are the variables or coefficients we are getting, are pooled together so that we can leverage the interactability of these pedestrians among themselves. So I'd like to ask, so basically, would this suffice if I get into a real world scenario, especially in India? I need an answer, please. Anything? Yes, no.
So it's just looking for pedestrians, right?
Yeah.
Many things in India.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, exactly. So we have to detect other than what is in the scene other than pedestrian. So this was encountered by the next approach. So this is a disadvantage. Also the disadvantage is that this is built on a static camera with no information of the scene. So as we said, there are other things other than pedestrian. So the next approach was SSLSTM, which was an advancement to social LSTM. So the basic SS means that it is social as well as scenic information. So as you can see in the picture above here, so we have some people and we have some objects in the background as well, which we have to consider for ourselves. Also, there is one more thing. The social LSTM use the maps which are of the pedestrians in a rectangular format, which is on the left. But when we see about in an actual scenario, we are concerned with the social gap of a circular scenario. So we have to see that, okay, someone is standing right here and someone is standing over that Sprite bottle. So I'll obviously be more inclined toward that same person, but we cannot capture that in a rectangular system because it's not a radius system. We are calculating a radius, right? So these are the two advantages over social LSTM which SSLSTM gave. But the thing is, again, it is not very good for short trajectories. So that's because of it is not learned enough. It has not learned enough for the short trajectories. And the second thing is, again, it is not built for dynamic cameras. Now, what are dynamic cameras? Are basically cameras that are fitted in our cars. So our cars are moving. The pedestrian is also moving. So we have to calculate everything in dynamic motion. But there is just one approach that is available right now, which is Desire. So Desire is an unfinished research work that is right now present on GitHub. And basically, so this was the crux of my whole talk that I talked about. So if anyone is interested in going in forward in this space, in this, or knowing more about this, so I have done some research for like 8 to 10 months in breaks of 2 years. So this is the state of the art in the whole trajectory prediction scenario. And in India, the autonomous cars are still a way more to go. There are some startups which are trying that, but it is not practically implemented anywhere in India. So if anyone is interested in this or needs some more things, you can just hit me up on the LinkedIn. Yeah.
How can we continue the topic?